Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. If you struggle with food and weight like I did, welcome home. Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show. So happy to have you here. It is a great day to be alive, and I am really excited about today's topic because it's really going to help you make the right decisions when it comes down to you and food, okay? First, I want to just say, please jump over to the Heal Your Hunger Tribe on Facebook. This is an awesome place to share your ahas, to get great insights, to be part of my Transformation Tuesday message. And also, I have some guest speakers in there often, and I just want you to be a part of the community so that you can really know that you are amongst friends, other emotional eaters who get you, who have struggled with food and weight the way you do or have, and so you're not alone and you get your support, you know? I mean, nobody can overcome emotional eating on their own. So jump over to the Heal Your Hunger Tribe, be a part of what we're doing there, and join us. Now, on to the topic for today. This totally comes from my personal experience. This is something I wanted to talk about because I've noticed myself doing this throughout the years, and it's just become super focused for me, and it's something I laugh about now. But it was not always a laughing matter. And this is the executive decision maker in your brain. So as emotional eaters, as people who have struggled with food and weight, as people who nibble and snack and eat the wrong things and bust out of their good behavior and go totally AWOL, completely go off the ranch and eat things that we know we're not supposed to eat, or get tempted by things we haven't had in years, and then end up blowing it. You know, if that's anything close to your experience, I want to talk to you about the executive decision maker in your mind. You see, emotional eaters make executive decisions, and that means that we make decisions about what we should eat or when we should eat or how much we should eat, and these decisions aren't good for us, okay? So we're choosing the wrong thing. We're making the wrong decision. Bad idea, bad decisions, bad choices. And we do this often, right? But the problem is, and the reason why we do this is because the decision maker in our mind makes sense, okay? We make an executive decision that comes from a place that seems so sound and so rational and so right on that we believe it, okay? We believe the executive decision that we're making. We believe the executive decision that we're sending up the flagpole. I mean, we salute it. We salute it and we're like, good decision. You know, things like I make a decision that if we ate something, we're sick, and if we ate something, we'd feel better. Okay? That's a good example of an executive decision. Or, geez, I'm really hungry. It's bedtime. I'm really hungry. If I ate something right now, I'd sleep better. Another executive decision. Or, gee, I'm with all these people who are eating crappy food and drinking alcohol, and these are things that, normally I stay away from. But if I eat them, or if I have that drink, I'll fit in. I won't feel like a pariah or like a weirdo. Another executive decision. Or perhaps I haven't had sugar in a while. It's been a long time. I've been very good, so I think I'll reward myself by eating sugar. Or perhaps sugar isn't a problem anymore, so I'm going to have some and see. Another executive decision. Or, and you could say it for coffee. I haven't had caffeine in a while. This one cup of coffee won't hurt me. It won't be a problem. Or I don't have time to make a meal before my flight. I'll just grab something in the airport. I'll grab something on the plane. Another executive decision. Do you see where I'm going with this? We make decisions that are not for our highest and best good. They're not going to support our freedom from emotional eating. They are going to cause us temptation. They're going to cause us to slip and slide. They might cause a binge. And yet, in the moment that we make them, these decisions seem so sound and so rational. And that's what's so crazy about them. They seem like the right thing to do. They're based on some kind of logic, so they seem to make sense. They're rational, they're reasonable. They seem like they're sound, yet they get us into trouble, okay? And so we look back and we're like, geez Louise, I thought it was a good idea at the time, but clearly it wasn't in light of what happened. I binged, I fell off the wagon, I gained weight, I haven't been able to get back on track since. That one executive decision can send us down the rabbit hole so fast, and yet we thought we were making the right decision at the time. Okay, and this is really why I want to get into this, because it's so tricky. It's so tricky, and it's the cause of our downfall time and time again. So let's take a look at where this voice is coming from. It sounds so reasonable and rational, but it comes from between our ears, okay? It comes from the emotional eater's mind, which means it's probably not a sound decision. Einstein said, the mind that created the problem cannot solve the problem. I love that. The mind that created the problem cannot solve the problem. And that means that the emotional eater's mind is not qualified to make sound decisions around eating. Okay? And you might think to yourself, well, that's going to be tough then, because who else's mind am I going to depend on? Good question. I'm going to tell you. But the bottom line is, as emotional eaters, our executive decisions are often fraught with lies, okay? So my telling myself, gee, I haven't had sugar in a long time, I think I'll see if it's a good idea, if I can handle sugar now, okay? That is not a sound decision. If I couldn't handle sugar to the point where I gave it up, chances are I'm not going to be able to handle it, 2 weeks later or 2 months or 2 years later. Okay, if I got to the point of giving up sugar, sugar was obviously a problem. And if my body and mind and spirit can't handle my sugar, no matter how much time has passed, it's still a fact today for me. So my executive decision to try eating sugar to see if it's a problem again is not sound. You see where I'm going with this? Other executive decisions that emotional eaters make, fraught with lies. We lie to ourselves. Our problem is not food. Our problem is what goes on between our ears, okay? Our problem isn't our eating. Our problem is our thinking. My thinking has never been right when it's been around food. I'm telling you, I have made so many wrong executive decisions that seemed right at the time, but they landed me in hot water. They landed me in a binge. They landed me in a ton of weight gain, because I wasn't making a decision from my higher mind. And this is where I'm getting to a solution here. Our executive decisions come from our emotional eater selves, which means that if we want to, stop lying to ourselves, if we want to stop making decisions that are actually self-sabotaging, if we want to stop, telling ourselves one thing and then ending up in a whole bunch of trouble because of that decision, then we have to align our minds on a higher plane, because our mind is our saboteur. Our thoughts are self-sabotaging thoughts, and we do it over and over and over again. And the problem is we're not good at discerning what's, a thought from our higher mind and what's a thought from our lower mind. And this is why it's so important that, first of all, we identify these thoughts and we're able to see them, before they blindside us. So we're able to really step back and take a look at our thoughts. And this is the first step to overcoming this problem, is to watch your thoughts. Okay, learn to be an observer of your thoughts so that you can get some distance from your thoughts and you can say, gee, trying sugar after 2 years of not trying sugar, is that really a sound idea for me? Is that really something that a sugar addict should be doing? Is testing the waters? Is it a good idea for an alcoholic after 2 years of sobriety to test the waters and have a drink? No. If you've known an alcoholic, you know that's a bad idea. It's the same thing for a sugar addict. Time and time again, I've totally screwed myself believing I could eat sugar again, making the executive decision that I can handle my sugar when I can't. I never could, and so far I can't, and I'm not going to try. I'm not going to try today, and hopefully I won't try tomorrow or 10 years from now. I'm a sugar addict through and through, just like an alcoholic is it can't drink alcohol safely, has to abstain. So my executive decisions don't stem from, my highest self, in which case I need to observe that. So I am an observer of my thoughts, and I've gotten pretty good at it now to where I can have an insane thought and recognize it as such. Like that's crazy, Tricia. Like, you're a sugar addict, eating sugar, trying to handle sugar, not a good idea. Okay, but it's taken trial and error to get to that point. I want to employ you to observe your thoughts and really try to discern. When you're having a thought and you think it's a good idea, double check. Okay, ask yourself, gee, is that true? Is it true that if you eat, garbage and drink alcohol with these people, you're going to fit in better? Is that really true? And what is fitting in anyway? And is anybody normal? No. And so, in light of the consequences, is that a good decision? Weigh it out. Look at the consequences. Is eating to fit in a good idea if you consider the consequences? When I eat crap, I tend to keep going, in which case there's nothing normal about me. I go home, I eat more crap, or I order takeout, or I go to the store and just buy a bunch of stuff and I eat it in front of the TV. There's nothing normal about that. So if I'm trying to eat to fit in, so I feel more normal, that makes no sense in light of the consequences, where there's nothing normal about my eating, okay, and my binging. So think about the consequences. First, observe the thought and then play it out. Like, look at the consequences. Is eating crap a good idea for me? Is testing the waters with sugar, has that ever worked for me in the past? Like, does that really work? No. Okay, then that's not a higher thought. So observe your thoughts, learn to question your thoughts, and then really look at the consequences of your decisions. Stack it up. If you want to be rational about it, if you want to be reasonable about it, make a pros and cons list. Executives in their companies do this. They make a pros and cons list of corporate decisions, right? Make a list. What happens to me when I eat crap? And what happens to me when I don't? What's the best choice there? If you want to be reasonable, if you think you're being sound, make a pros and cons list, and really look at the consequences. So important. But if you want to start having thoughts that aren't fraught with lies, and this is really the only hope, is that we start, getting hip to our thinking and start having a higher level of thinking where executive decisions aren't actually, lies in disguise. The key, in my experience, is aligning our thoughts with God. Okay, aligning our thoughts on a spiritual plane, whatever you call it, whether it's God or higher power or spirit, Holy Spirit, whatever it is, I think you know what I'm talking about. Aligning our thoughts on a higher plane so they aren't lies, so they aren't, self-sabotaging in disguise. Aligning our thoughts with God. How do we do that? We start our day on our knees. The first thing in the morning, I'm sliding out of bed onto my knees. I'm praying on my knees. Not because God needs me to be on my knees, but because I need to align my thoughts with a higher line of thinking, with a spiritual tone, okay? Getting on my knees is just a symbolic way for me to say, my thinking isn't sound. I appeal to a higher authority with my thoughts. So on my knees, prayer, meditation, writing, reading spiritual literature. Every morning I'm reading something spiritual so I can align my thoughts on a higher plane. And when I do that, it's less likely I'm going to make an executive decision that is self-sabotaging. Okay, my executive decisions will be as with God as the executive, not as me, the emotional eater, as the executive. This is what I need to do. I need to align my thoughts with God. Let God be the highest authority in my life, not me, because I cannot depend 100% on my thinking, because they can get pretty wacky. My thoughts can get pretty wacky when they're coming from that emotional eater place. The mind that created the problem can't create the solution, which means I need to operate from a higher mind or a highest mind. And to me, that's God. That's God, that's spirituality. That is this spiritual source that is infinitely intelligent, infinitely good, and cares about my well-being far more than I do, okay? Because I will sabotage myself. I will have an executive decision that I believe and I follow that gets me into trouble. So every single day, that's why my self-care and my spiritual practices are so important, because they don't make me good. They align me with a higher form of thinking where my thoughts can be purely self-caring, not, self-caring, the mask of self-caring that covers up self-sabotage. I hope I'm making myself clear here. This might sound a little weird to somebody who's never heard me before. It's like, what is this woman talking about? But I hope it makes sense to you. It makes so much sense if you just start observing your thoughts. When you have a thought, here's the thing, look back at a binge, okay? Look at a bad food decision you made. And I say bad, I don't mean morally bad. I don't mean you're a bad person. I mean, look at a decision you made that ended up with you feeling sick, okay? And pissed at yourself. And backtrack, unpack it, and think about what executive decision you made that got you into that position. I promise you made an executive decision. You told yourself a lie and you believed it, and you ended up feeling disgusting. Just next time it happens, hopefully it won't, but if it does, or look back to the past week or look at the holidays, look at an executive decision you make. Perhaps you think, oh, it's the holidays, I'm going to go off for a little while, right? People are always saying, I'm going to take a vacation, or I'm on vacation, I'm going to eat whatever I want, right? That's an executive decision. I'm going to cruise, I'm going to eat whatever I want. Well, if you end up, eating whatever you want, chances are it's going to go badly. Like, it may be fun for a little while, but it'll end up feeling bad, and you'll be mad at yourself. And at the very least, you'll be mad because you gained weight. You end up gaining weight and feeling kind of bad about it. I mean, I don't know about you, but when I gain weight, I'm not happy. I'm not happy about it. I'm not very good at just being like, oh well. The whole reason I'm here doing Heal Your Hunger and sharing this information with you is because it feels bad to me to gain weight. I don't want to gain weight, which means I don't want to overeat, which means I'm going to have to find a way to overcome emotional eating. And that's what I've done. All because it feels bad to me to gain weight. So look back, do a little detective work, and what was the executive decision you made? It'll help you so much to start digging into this and start observing how what went on between your ears resulted in the binge, resulted in that 5 extra pounds. Look for the executive decision. I promise you it's there. You made it. We never just eat. We make a decision to eat. We make a decision to blow off, what we know, or throw caution to the wind. Once you've been trying to do something about your eating for a while, you're having conversations in your head. What executive decision did you, put forth, and what executive decision did you decide to buy? Which one did you follow to your destruction? So hopefully this makes sense. I'm telling you, it's a little bit hard to articulate, but hopefully I have it adequately enough that you know what I'm talking about. Watch your executive decisions, observe your thoughts, challenge your thoughts, look for where they're coming from, and most importantly, seek every single day to align your thoughts with God. Seek every day to humble yourself and connect on a spiritual level with something deeper inside yourself, with that sweet spirit within. Connect with that higher self. Doesn't matter what you call it. Connect with your higher self so that your thoughts come from that place and not from the emotional eater that's out to sabotage every single time. And don't forget to align with other emotional eaters in the Facebook group, the Heal Your Hunger Tribe. I love you so much. I am rooting for you all the way.
If you enjoyed this podcast and want to get free support, insider health info, exclusive invites to events, and more, visit healyourhunger.com.